The Masters Tournament, which began in 1934, is one of golf's four major competitions, along with the US Open, the British Open, and the PGA Championship. Every April, the event is held at the Augusta National Golf Club in Augusta, Georgia. However, regardless of the ongoing civil war between the PGA Tour and LIV Golf International Series, Augusta National has confirmed that LIV golfers will be allowed to compete at the Masters in 2023. So why do you think the LIV golfers were not barred from playing? And do you think the PGA Tour would lose its war against LIV Golf with the Masters not banning LIV golfers? Stick around to find out all the details. Welcome to Golf Links, and remember to subscribe to the channel for updates on new video drops. When the Great Depression was at its worst in 1931, two men pooled their resources to form the Augusta National Golf Club. Bobby Jones, an Atlanta native who won 13 major titles between 1923 and 1930, was one of the club's founders. The 28-year-old declared his retirement from competitive golf after winning the Grand Slam in 1930, all four major titles: US Open, US Amateur, British Open, and British Amateur. Over the following few years, he was involved in several carefully chosen golf projects, including the Augusta National. Clifford Roberts, a New York businessman who had known Jones in the mid-1920s, was less renowned than Jones, but no less vital to the success of the club and tournament. Whereas Jones gave credibility and exposure to the endeavor, Roberts brought business expertise. Roberts successfully gathered the capital needed to buy the site and start building the course amid the Great Depression by cleverly pitching the idea of a national golf club to a small group of investors. Alistair McKenzie, the legendary golf course architect, collaborated with Jones to create the Augusta National Course. They came across the abandoned 365-acre plant nursery known as Fruitland, Berkman's Nursery, in the Augusta area, where Prosper Berkman's had produced peaches, among other things. The land, which was once a plantation, was offered for sale at rock-bottom prices because of the poor economy, and Jones believed it would make a great site for a golf course. Roberts handled the funding, and Jones and McKenzie were in charge of the course's construction, which started in 1931 and ended in 1932. Within months of the course's completion, Roberts and Jones discussed the possibility of hosting a major tournament, such as the US Open. However, scheduling conflicts and climate — Augusta was too hot to host the US Open, traditionally held in the summer — ultimately prevented that idea from becoming a reality, but Roberts persisted. If a national open couldn't be held, why not conduct an annual invitational event sponsored by the famous Bobby Jones? To make the event more realistic, Roberts suggested that Jones compete in it, coming out of retirement for a week each year to compete against former opponents and acquaintances. Jones initially opposed the notion of participating, but he decided to compete because he wanted the competition and club to flourish. Roberts had been right all along. The inaugural Augusta National Invitation Tournament was constructed in the spring of 1934, and it was an instant success, won by Horton Smith while Jones finished 13th. The next year, Gene Sarazen won the event with a double eagle on the par 5 16th in the final round, and Sarazen defeated Craig Wood in a playoff the next day. The event officially changed its name to the Masters in 1939. The Masters, the fourth leg of a modern Grand Slam, was not instantly acknowledged as a major golf event, despite being a regular visit on the professional circuit in the 1930s. The patronage of Dwight D. Eisenhower, who frequently played at the club during his presidency, was also a factor. The tournament's popularity with the then emerging medium of television and the yearly attendance of such luminaries as Ben Hogan, Arnold Palmer, and later Jack Nicklaus were some of the elements that helped it develop into that prominent position in the 1950s. In many ways, the Masters was a trailblazer. Roberts created the method of over-under plus or minus to par scoring. Jones and Roberts pioneered the post-tournament ritual in which the reigning champion hands over the coveted green jacket to the new winner in 1949. In 1956, on CBS, the Masters became the first golf event to be shown on television. Other competitions eventually adopted many of the Masters' ideas. The reputation and appeal of the Masters keep rising. The event benefits from being held on the same course each year because it's the only major golf tournament to do so. This gives the tournament a sense of continuity and familiarity absent from other major events. Recent competitions highlight Jack Nicklaus's unheard-of sixth triumph in 1986, Greg Norman's tragic defeats in Australia, Tiger Woods' magnificent victories in 1997, 2001, 02, and 05, and Jordan Spieth's terrible quadruple bogey 7 on the 12th hole in 2016. The multinational character of the Masters' fields has always been a source of pride for the organization. It still draws the top golfers to Northeast Georgia every year for what has grown to be one of the greatest golf competitions in the world, and it will be the same this year. However, despite the conflicts in the golf community, Augusta National Golf Club stated on Tuesday that any golfer who qualified for the Masters competition according to its prior standards, including the 16 players now participating in the LIV Golf League, will be invited to compete in 2023. Bubba Watson, Phil Mickelson, Dustin Johnson, Sergio Garcia, Patrick Reed, and Charles Schwartzel are among the 6 previous Masters champions who have defected from the PGA Tour to LIV Golf. The chairman of Augusta National Golf Club, Fred Ridley, said that recent acts regrettably have split men's professional golf by weakening the qualities of the game and the profound legacies of those who founded it. Despite our disappointment with these developments, we want to continue the tradition of hosting the world's best players in April. Therefore, once invites are issued this week, we will extend invitations to individuals who meet the requirements to play in the 2023 Masters tournament. Every year, as we've previously stated, we examine every aspect of the tournament. Any changes or adjustments to the standards for an invitation to subsequent tournaments will be made public in April. Our sports history has come to a turning point for us. At Augusta National, we have confidence that golf, which has persevered through several difficulties throughout the years, will do so again. Taking place in Augusta, Georgia from April 6th to the 9th, the Masters is the season's opening major championship. Cameron Smith of Australia, currently ranked 3rd in the world, is eligible for the 2023 Masters because he won both the Players' Championship and the Open Championship in 2022. Due to their victories at the PGA Championship and the US Open in the previous 5 years, Bryson DeChambeau and Brooks Koepka were granted invitations before departing for LIV Golf, and after earning a spot in the field by finishing in the top 50 of the official World Golf Ranking, Joaquin Niemann and Taylor Gooch qualified for the season-ending Tour Championship. In addition to Louis Oosthuizen and Kevin Na, other players who rank in the top 50 of the OWGR, including Abraham Ancer and Harold Varner III, were also invited. In addition, any additional player who ranks in the top 50 the week before the 2023 tournament will be invited. One of the most important issues in the game throughout the months-long competition between LIV Golf and the PGA Tour for the finest players in the world has been whether Augusta National will change its requirements to make it harder for LIV golfers to compete in the Masters. With guaranteed signing bonuses reputedly worth up to $200 million, the highest payouts in the history of the sport, LIV Golf, which is being spearheaded by 2-time Open Championship champion Greg Norman and funded by Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, has attracted several of the tour's most well-known players. On August 3rd, Mickelson, DeChambeau, and 9 other LIV players sued the PGA circuit in a federal antitrust action, alleging that the tour conspired with the 4 major championships to bar LIV golfers from participating in the sport's most significant competitions. Lawyers for the LIV players claimed in the complaint that Ridley had been covertly working for the PGA Tour. According to the complaint, representatives of Augusta National threatened to disinvite players from the Masters if they joined LIV Golf. It was said that Ridley personally directed golfers not to defect to LIV Golf this year and that he declined to meet with Norman to discuss the new circuit's business model. Though the decision made by Augusta National on Tuesday is nonetheless a significant development for LIV, which has yet to negotiate a television deal or assemble a prestigious sponsor roster. However fleeting it may eventually turn out to be, LIV's chief executive Greg Norman has recently urged major tournaments to stay Switzerland and welcome players from his circuit. Norman, a 2-time British Open champion and 3-time Masters runner-up, stated last month that the majors require the strength of the field. They require the best players in the business. They want the most competitive rivalry for their broadcasters, sponsors, and all other associated elements, but LIV also stands to gain. Supporters of LIV have said that a major victory by one of its players will increase the validity of the circuit. If a LIV player wins a major next year, Norman added, it shows how we work inside the ecosystem. Do you think any LIV golfer can win the 2023 Masters? And what does this mean for the PGA Tour?